Hey everybody and welcome. Today I'm sharing 3 artist trading cards and I make these with a cardboard base because I really love the feel you get with the cardboard compared to paper. It's more thick, it is lightweight, but it's also more stable and it is like a little piece of art, I feel. You see me cutting the pieces. I used an old card to outline where I have to cut. And I'm cutting 6, so I have some left for a future project. I wanted to use my handmade washi tapes today to create the background, to show you how easy it is to work with them and how quickly you can get some stuff done. And I'm using all kinds of different tapes. I have some of these vintages I have made in my last video. I will link that up in the top right corner info box. And I also have some older ones that I also shared in a video tutorial. And I will try to find it and link it up in the video description. And that paper has some glue on the back, the tape. And it activates once you wet it with water. So I always wet the backside with a brush and a little amount of water, and then it gets sticky. And I just randomly decide where I want to put which paper, and I try to create some different backgrounds. Of course, you can make a similar thing by just using some handmade collage paper. Maybe you use some jelly prints and then you stamp randomly on them, and that's also a very nice base where you can work something out quickly, and you just have to use a glue stick to stick the pieces down. So there is not such a difference between collage papers and the washi tape, but it's just, I feel it's a nice thing to have this tape, and it also looks very pretty. Although it's cardboard, because of the wetness, it tends to warp in one direction. So I just quickly have heat setted the cards and then put it under a heavy book for a short time, and that keeps them very flat. And then I've covered the cards with some clear gesso I just showed you, and now they are dry, and I'm going to ink up the edges with some black StazOn ink. I have searched in my stash for some ready-to-go pieces to put onto these artist trading cards, and I picked some that are already done, but of course you can make some new ones for your cards. But I already had these. This is a bird from our Texture Birds #2, and I also picked some mushrooms from our Inky Mushrooms and a leaf from our Collage Leaves. And now I'm having a look where I want to put which image. And of course, I'm going to link up all the products I'm using in the video description. Before I adhere the images, I want to change the card backgrounds a little bit with some colors. And I plan to use, for the first one, that Art Graf Tailor Shape, a white. It's the most opaque white I've ever seen in a watercolor form. And I think it's even better than acrylics, but of course it's not waterproof, so you always have to keep that in mind. I will link these up. I think I saw them on Craftelier the other day, and I think they have all the colors, if I'm not wrong. And I just added some splatters to this background, and I think that's ready to go with the focal image. I don't want to add the same to every card because I wanted to create them a little bit different. And here I just feel that there could be some of that blue maybe on the background, a bit more that's on the birdie's tail. So maybe I'm going to add that color with a Neocolor, and I just have a look which one is the closest. When I put the birdie on top, I felt that it was a bit too much of that color in this area. I just picked my brush and remove some of it and put it to the bottom. And you could also use a baby wipe to damp off some of the color that is too much. I'm also adding a little bit of white here, but no splatters, just to bring in some highlights. And I really like how the Neocolor and the Art Graf move together. And I think that gives me a really interesting texture. For the last card, I picked our Inky Mushrooms, and these are paper pieced with jelly prints. And I bet there is a tutorial available either on the Rubber Dance blog or maybe in my shorts. I don't know. I try to find something how I have done this to share it in the video description, but it's simply just stamped all the mushrooms to different jelly prints and then cutting out the pieces, the head of the mushroom, the leaves at the bottom, and then sticking these elements on top of a mushroom in another color. And that's really nice. It looks like as if you have colored with collage paper. It's also sometimes very interesting to use some pattern design paper for that technique. I added some yellow and pink to this card because it's in the mushrooms, but it was a bit too much, so I'm removing it. And I also decide to turn the card around, so this is going to be my bottom. And usually mushrooms are growing in the forest, so I thought I might want to add some green to the background as well. I decided that I wanted to be a bit more darker, so I'm using that black Art Graf, and I'm just adding some splatters into the wet background, and that makes the colors bleed together and give me a really grungy texture, which I think was perfect for a foresty background. Now I have all the pieces ready and I can create the cards. Just everything needs to dry before I adhere the images on top. But I think it's a really nice combination, and I'm really happy with how these turned out. After I had adhered the mushroom, I felt that it needed kind of a bottom to sit on. And that's why I'm going in with that Art Graf again, just a tiny little bit to bring in kind of an earthy bottom. And that turns the image completely, I feel. I already had adhered all the other images. I usually lay an acrylic block on top until everything is dry. And now I'm going to adhere my sentiments that I've picked for the cards. And I used our Mix the Sentiments stamp set. And I'm just adhering the words with a glue stick. Yes, that was my video for today. I hope you enjoyed it and I wish you a lovely weekend. You will find photos of the cards over on my website on the blog, and I will link up this as well. Bye!